When I think of binge shows, Stranger Things is always the first that comes to mind. I remember back in 2016 watching the whole of season 1 in one day and looking like Gollum by the end of it. Season 2 and 3 were enjoyable but used the same framework as the original season, so I understand some people's tiredness with the formula at that point. But season 4 is the beginning of the end, with season 5 being the final season. And compared to the usual 15-minute episode lengths of before, this latest season is so long that they had to split it into 2 volumes, Volume 1 with 7 episodes and Volume 2 with 2 feature-length episodes. So in this video we will be talking full spoilers, so you have been warned. I gotta say, Volume 1 was an enjoyable binge, but it did have its issues. Like, from a technical standpoint, the show still looks and sounds amazing, but as the show has grown over the years, so has the character roster, and with that means you've got less time to give the spotlight to every character. And I think for me, one of the characters that has received that rough end of the deal is Will, because when you look at the earlier seasons with his connection to the Upside Down, you thought they might have done a bit more with his character, but at the moment he feels like in a bit of a limbo. I do feel like they have got something planned for him towards the end of the show, but it just seems like they're underutilising Noah Schnapp a bit. And with Volume 1, you have that main plot which is based in Hawkins, but when you come to the side plots, I think the one with Will is one of the weaker ones because they don't really do that much. Like, once Eleven's out the picture, they flee the house and they go to Susie for her help there to hack the computer, and that's about it. But it wasn't just that storyline which was guilty of this, it was also the Hopper Russian storyline. Because I don't know about you, but I was well happy when he escaped that first time. I was like, finally we can start moving on with this story with Hopper, but then he gets bloody captured again. And I do enjoy the characters, like Murray and Joyce going there to rescue him, that was enjoyable to watch, and same with seeing Hopper actually open up a bit while he's in the gulag and that. But like the previously mentioned Mike and Will storyline, this one also feels quite padded just so it can keep in line with the main Hawkins storyline. And for the most part, everything I saw in Hawkins I really enjoyed, and I think this season was a bit more darker than the previous ones. I think some of the kills were quite graphic, and I also think the actual tone of it was a bit different. I think they definitely took inspiration from films like The Conjuring and other ghost stories, and I think that did work quite well. Obviously there's a big comparison with Nightmare on Elm Street as well. We have our new villain Vecna targeting the teens of Hawkins, getting into their head. We even have bloody Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund, appearing in the show. We even have a name drop for the character as well.
Freddy Krueger?
He's a super burned up dude with razors for fingers, and he kills you in your dreams.
Dustin, seriously?
So yeah, I really enjoyed the approach they had to this season. Of course, they always go for those 80s and pop culture references to help mould a plot, and I think it worked well with the mix they went for here. And, even the Robert Englund scene, like, is a complete reference to Silence of the Lambs. I think the new characters they introduced this season were pretty good, with Eddie being one which grew on me every episode he was in. And then looking at the characters that came back, Max I feel like is one of the ones that had the most time to breathe and grow in this season. Obviously following the events of season 3 with seeing her brother die, you can see that there's a lot to work there with her. And I think she handled it pretty well. And I think the actress Sadie Sink did a great job, especially with episode 4. I think episode 4 was the peak of the season so far. Now let's get to our main character, and that is Eleven, and she's definitely had a tough season already. In the first couple of episodes we get to see the extent of the bullying she has to deal with, and I think that was handled okay, but sometimes the bullying went a little bit over the top and it was a bit like too much that it wasn't actually believable. I feel like they could have toned it back a little bit and it might have been a bit more impactful. And after hitting Andrew in the face with some roller skates, she gets taken away by the police and saved by Dr. Owens, and then reunited with Dr. Brenner. And then the rest of her scenes involved the Nina Project and her trying to get her powers back, going through a lot of flashbacks, which is great for learning about the backstory of Eleven. And then we also learn that the actual big bad of the season is Number 1. And even if it did go down the cliche villain tells his life story before killing you route, it has tied the story closer together, for better and for worse. Still, questions can be asked in respect to the timing and where the mind flare comes into all this, but there's still a story to be told. And a lot of times this show you are one step ahead of it, and it just feels a bit like a loading bar sort of feeling, but with this I must say it did actually take me off guard in terms of the twist. This show really works well as a binge, because I feel like if it was one episode once a week, it would really suffer from that because it didn't really have enough going to satisfy a whole week's worth of conversation. This season, like the other seasons, has many conveniences in the plot, but most of them you can just overlook because you just enjoy being with these characters. I think some of the relationships could be dealt with a bit better. I think the Steve and Nancy thing, by the way, I think that's a lot complete bait, but we'll see how that all goes in the final part of the season. Volume 1 was kind to not leave a huge cliffhanger, as it's built a solid base for Volume 2 to complete Season 4's story and a satisfying setup for the conclusion of the show. But anyway, let me know your thoughts and your predictions for Volume 2 down below. If you liked the video, I owe you some Eggos, and I'll see you in the next one.